Woo. All right, welcome,
Oh,
Paradigm Shifters Transformation Tuesday for February 13th, 2024. Yeah, let's take a deep breath into this day. Yeah, knowing that everything, every act, every event, every situation is brought into this moment. So let's put your hand on your heart and feel that heart space. Boy, we're almost Valentine's Day, Mardi Gras, all kinds of things going on in nature out there. And we are being fully present at this moment in time. Yeah.
mhm.
All right. So, what's Paradigm Shifters? We are a growing global, what else? Growing global community dedicated. Yeah, super dedicated to shift and uplift the planet. Even in Wisconsin, okay, Michelle?
Wisconsin, woohoo!
Wisconsin.
Oh,
I love it. I love it. Well, before we start, I want to read from this little pamphlet, little meditation for February 13th, if that's okay.
I'd love that.
And I love it because it goes to the theme of the Mardi Gras thing, our theme in Transformation Tuesday for January, February, is, opening doors in 2024. And we're focusing on this love this month. So the word for Tuesday, February 13th, is prepare.
Mm.
Yeah. So let's take a deep breath into that word. And here's the affirmation: I prepare my mind and heart for spiritual renewal. Preparation is essential to any activity. My spiritual preparation leads me to find a quiet place. I love you found a quiet place.
Me too.
Focus my thoughts on this God within and clear and open my mind to divine inspiration. For many, today is a day of celebration before the beginning of this Lenten season, a perfect time to practice releasing that which is no longer needed. Today is a day for living, giving, loving, and growing. As I celebrate, I am preparing for renewal.
I love that.
Isn't that beautiful? Well,
Yeah.
so
And Lent is such a wonderful opportunity for renewal and reflection on what you want to renew. Yeah.
yes, and so I'm going to introduce you with a little bio, Michelle. So I'm so thrilled in February to bring on our guest speaker for today is Michele Barney. And let me tell you a little bit about Michelle. You're the founder, and Michelle is president and founder of Ignite Your Dreams Now, LLC.
Don't wait.
Right. And you're a heart centered certified dream builder coach and certified life mastery consultant. And I love the fact that you're a practitioner of EFT tapping and Psych-K. When I find out a little bit more about that, what your specialty is, and also you're an engaging speaker, inspiring coach, empowering mentor, and a best-selling co-author of Short, Sweet, and Sacred Volume 2. I love that. So with that, I want to turn this over to you, Michelle. And what insights? Where are you from? Where are you zooming in from? I love the fact that you just told me the room you are and what you are all about today.
Yeah, well, I'm a life coach, like you said. I have those two certifications, but I also am a physical therapist, and I am in a senior living community right now that I service people that live in this community. And I'm so thankful I found a quiet spot because they've been doing Mardi Gras celebrations all morning, which have been super fun for the residents and for all of us that work here. But when you had asked me to talk about this, the whole month of February is love, but you asked for me to focus on self-love. And I think for me, that was a really insightful topic because in my younger days, like I remember in my 20s, actually having the realization that I know why I'm here. I'm here to make my family happy.
Whoa.
Yes. And it's honestly through my study, becoming a coach, my study just on my own growth and development, that I've realized that that was an erroneous realization. And so a lot of my younger years, I spent sacrificing my own happiness for the happiness of my family. And I, not that I minded it, not that it was bad. I mean, I love my family. I think what's drawn me to both physical therapy and life coaching is I love helping people, and I love seeing people improve in whatever it is, whether it's their health, their relationships, their money, you know, whatever it is. And so it's not to say that it was a complete negative, but there were times as I learned, you know, how to really be healthy and how to really live the way authentically, to really start to, you know, one of the big tools is longing and discontent. You know, what do I long for? Well, there were times that I longed to do something, and yet I would say yes to something else because I wanted to be the pleaser, you know? And so now there just was an incident over the holidays where I had a family member come in from out of town, and it was a Tuesday night, and I worked that day, and they wanted me to come, you know, it would have been a 20-minute drive each way. And there was a part of me that I literally heard I should. And so that the other tool of notice what you're noticing has been so helpful. So I could notice, like, wait a minute, I just said to myself, I should. And then the other tool, what would I love? Well, what would I love is to not leave my house, to just stay here and do, and so for some of us, or some of you out there, it might not feel like a big deal to say, no, I'm not going to come. But for me, it's been such a paradigm shifter for me, and such an empowering step to honor what I really wanted. And to know that there's the other tool, there's no private good. You know, so in me, I think what I used to feel like before I learned all these things, I used to feel that if I said no to them, I was hurting them. And yet there is no private good. There's, you know, we live in this abundant, perfect, beautiful universe where there's just, when we really live with the laws, the way they exist, everybody can be in harmony. So that I know if it's good for me, it's good for everybody. And if it's good for them, it's good for everybody. You know, if it truly is good. So it's just been a really empowering journey, really empowering journey. And, you know, another aspect of self-love that that really came up as I reflected on self-love, you know, what has self-love mean to me? How have I grown in self-love? Because I've grown in self-love a ton. The other piece of that is letting go of the past. You know, there were things with raising my kids. You know, I think every parent has done stuff that's like, man, I wish I would have done it different that day. And yet my pattern up until a few years ago, before I learned these more empowering ways of approaching life, was deep regret. And now I can look at those same experiences, and as soon as you learn from something that went less than preferred, it's no longer a mistake, you know, just to know that. And we're all in this, you know, we're all constantly learning and growing. And so it just, when you really learn self-love, there's a lightness, you know, there, you release some of that heaviness, the heaviness of putting others before yourself. And really, it's kind of like like when you're on the airplane, you know, they say, put the oxygen mask on yourself first. Well, to somebody that's unaware, that could look selfish. And yet to somebody that's aware, you know, like we're aware of what could happen if they put the oxygen mask on the baby first and then them, they might not make it because they didn't get them. You know what I mean? So that whole awareness, that, you know, there's levels of awareness. So on the airplane, there's this level of awareness. No, I'm not being selfish. I'm actually being giving in putting the oxygen mask on myself first. So in making these choices, you know, it just up levels your awareness in all planes of living, you know, not just on an airplane, but with friendships, with family relationships, with our health, with any choice that we make. And when we really are choosing, well, I found a definition of self-love when I started looking some stuff up, and one definition that I found that I loved is, and self-love is an appreciation, an affinity, and a positive regard for yourself, your happiness, and your well-being, not sacrificing your well-being to please others. And to me, that's just such a beautiful thought.
And
Really, and really to come to that realization that when you truly are loving yourself, you are loving others more fully. Does
and
that
it's
make sense?
daily, yeah. For me, it
Yeah.
is a daily practice. And
Yes,
okay, well, what routine am I setting in place?
right.
I get that time before I go, and and I'm just, gosh, I'm so curious because you are in a senior living facility right now, and that, tell me, if you can, like, tell me your experience there with possibly teaching, or these principles, or maybe not teaching, or whatever it is you're doing in that facility to take care of yourself, and then also to show um, your clients that that's also important for them as well. I'd love to. I mean, I never interviewed someone that's working in where you are.
It's super interesting working with people in the last years of their life because it just makes you aware of how precious and short this life is. And to really help them, and I'm very much a holistic physical therapist. So I bring in body, mind, and spirit. Now, most people in Wisconsin, Christianity is pretty huge. So for most people, we can say God or spirit or whatever. But there's a few people that, I've got to use the word universe or energy or that kind of thing. But I think we all have some level of awareness experience that there's something out there that we're interacting with. And so how do we bring body, mind, and spirit into this healing? And I just had a conversation with one of my patients the other day about how to tap into what your mind is saying about this disease, and actually with a family member too, because I have somebody that has Parkinson's and it's pretty significant Parkinson's. And so there's the discussion, is it worth it to continue therapy or not? And yet, so for me, I'm always walking that line between the realist physical therapist, we meeting goals, and, Medicare has certain requirements of what they're going to pay for and stuff. And yet allowing the patient, the family member, the opportunity to know that just because this is what somebody's saying today, as far as what your prognosis is, don't hang your hat on that because you have no idea. I've had so many conversations with patients that, it's like, how do you know that tomorrow you won't wake up and something will be drastically different? Look at the people who have overcome cancer diagnoses that were fatal. Look at Mary, overcoming fatal kidney disease. She was supposed to live for 6 months. Here she is 50 some years later. And so just to give people the opportunity to become aware that they are more than what the white coats tell them. And like, as a healthcare provider, to be honest, I've had my own internal struggles with that because I've been programmed through my college training. I've been conditioned to think a certain way. And so now that you get introduced, like, wait a minute, my mind is the most powerful thing that I have. And my mind can, I took a class, I don't know if you've ever heard of the Silva method, but it's another mind technique, for us to control our thinking and stuff like that. But there's literally stories of people who use these principles and say, for example, had cancer, and they literally program themselves that every time they drank water, the water was washing the cancer out. And all of a sudden they go to the doctor, 3 months later, and they can't find evidence of the cancer. And nothing else has, you know what I mean? So
Yeah, well, I am so curious. This is so appropriate for right now.
yeah.
Um, my curiosity is, um, where does visioning a health and well-being come into this? You know, where is holding a strong vision for health and come into all this, and how do you work with that in what you're doing?
Yes, so depending on the person, like I do have a fair number of people that are in memory care, so it's a little more challenging with that population. Then we usually get into like imagination and story and stuff like that. But for somebody who's cognitively capable, I will ask them, what would you really love? Like the magic wand question. If I literally had a magic wand, what would you be doing? Now I just did a strategy session with somebody and they're in a really, really struggling spot. We literally had to go 5 years out for them to be able to dream. Some people can think, what would I love in 6 months? Some people it's a year, some people it's 3 years. This woman has had so much go on in her life. And so whatever it is, but once we got to that realization, like, well, 5 years out, that is believable. So, and the timing doesn't really matter because the timing that you set the vision at, it's not always the timing of how the vision comes to fruition. It's just what allows our nervous system to relax with it. And to be, you know what I mean? To be able to not be questioning the how and all that. And so 5 years out. So sometimes with patients, especially with pretty significant diagnoses, that to the medical trained person would seem insurmountable, impossible to overcome, there's still always that window of possibility. And so to have engage patients in those conversations of, and what's a greater self-love than to really feed your mind with thoughts and feelings of how you really want to be and to imagine yourself doing those things. And we know the power of imagination. We know the power of vision. We know the power of the thoughts that we choose. And I will say, the people that come to my workshops tend to be more into personal growth and development and all that. So they're easier to help them to connect the dots between vision. And some of my patients have, especially some of them that have been so in the medical system for a long time, I've got to be more gentle and a little slower with how I introduce that kind of stuff, if that makes sense.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes, just you know personally, what we're on the level of fact and content is what my son was in a accident. It's been 20 days now, and so this is a progress towards walking again and then riding a bike. So we're setting these mini goals, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it was so cool to go to the chiropractor yesterday and to come in with, okay, here's my goal, right? Here's the goal by
Mm-hmm.
February 29th, this and that. And it was like, okay, this is we were talking to, I was talking with a client yesterday about having authority over your health.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like, it was the first time she actually heard it.
Right.
We hear it, but like, oh, I have authority. And being able to tell the medical people, okay, here's my goal, here's this and that. And yesterday it was great. The doctor said, oh, okay, great. I can see that, dude. They're
Yeah.
going on. And it was like, okay, believe in my belief, right?
Right.
And
So
not
your son was asking the chiropractor to believe in his belief of his vision.
absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. I mean, absolutely.
Yeah.
And he said, okay, and so this and this exercise,
Mm-hmm.
this and this. We're going to see you this and this. And he goes, let's do this, dude. I mean, I'm like, yes, having without, looking at the chart. The charts are
Right.
very important, and then like, is that mindset work. So anyway, that's when you're talking, I'm like, wow, this is perfect for self-love, right?
Mm-hmm.
Self-authority over your body. So, oh, tell me more.
Well, and self-love too is, what part of self-love is what routines do we have in place that are nourishing our mind, body, and spirit? Are we doing quiet reflection. That you know, I look at young people nowadays, and we're so many people, not just young people, even middle-aged and older people, are so tied to their technology that we never have downtime. We never, you know, like when I think back when I was a kid, when we were sitting in a car, we would just be looking out the window. And you know, when I think of what I would think about when I'd see something and how that would, you know, trickle to other thoughts. And now everything. And so, you know, what kind of self-love practices are we putting in place to guarantee that we're giving ourselves the nurturing that's required to be healthy of body, mind, and spirit? You know, not just nutrition and exercise, but some of those other, you know, am I really listening to what my soul is speaking through my longing and discontent? Am I really paying attention to the inner wisdom that's in me that knows exactly how to lead me to joy? By speaking through that longing and discontent. Am I not just hearing it, but am I honoring it?
Oh, yes.
Because we can hear the longing and discontent and then kind of like ignore it. Am I honoring it with action steps that are going to support that? Yeah.
I love it. I heard a speaker once say, you know, look around the room, your disease affects at least 10 people. And they were like, oh, and I'm like, in your recovery, also, it's like we spread out our energy. Like you said, there's no private good.
Right.
And so, what if by us taking care of ourselves, that private good was the ripple effect for the world?
Right. Right. Yeah. I hadn't carried it that far, but that's very true. Yeah. Yeah. And I think too, you know, the thing I love about what we teach is it really is about helping people to get to be their authentic self. Like the them that they came here to be, the person they came here to be, you know, and so often through growing up, you know, like there's somebody close to me that thought that they were supposed to be an engineer. Well, it was their dad's idea, it wasn't their idea. And you know what I mean? Like what really is seeking to emerge in me, in you, in so and so. And I think the more we can help people to really listen inside and be that authentic them, you almost can't not have world peace. You know, if everybody's truly living true to themselves, there, you know, you can't help but be joyful, um, because you're living who you came here to live, you know, to be. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We're living it, right?
Yeah, right. And I
Well,
think that's one of my favorite things being a coach is to help people to really lead themselves truly to themselves, you know, to who they are and to what really lights them up.
you know what I really love is the fact that right where you're sitting, there's a party going on.
Yeah,
Boys, and the laughter and the fun and that spirit loves fun, our bodies love fun, and our.
yes.
So I'm going to ask you one more question. Like, if you could have just like one tool that you would love to like poof spread out. Right now, there's like a little over 1,600 members in here, and they're from all over the globe. Right?
Yeah.
It doesn't really matter where you are. But what would it be a tool that you would suggest that that we take on? A tool is just a tool unless we.
I honestly think in the realm of self-love, in the month of love of February, for me, the most powerful tool is that there is no private good. You know, and so to really, I think that when we know that, it allows us to give ourselves the permission, maybe if that's the right word, required so that we can truly listen to ourselves and what would we love? Knowing that whatever I love, you know, God, universe isn't going to create a world where I'm going to do something that I love and it's going to be bad for this person. You know, there is truly no private good. So to me, that's the most powerful tool. I mean, there's so many. You know, our calendar is a wonderful tool because when we look at our calendar, you know, like is it all work and no play, or you know, is there a balance kind of a thing? So, but that private good, I think, is probably one of the most important ones.
All
But
right.
there's so many important tools. There's so many amazing tools that can help us in all forms of love, not just self-love, but love in all our relationships.
Yeah, I love it. And our theme for the entire year is opening new doors in 2024. So
Yeah.
we just opened it up a crack
Mhm. Mhm.
and just like explored,
Right.
just explored and exploring. Explore. Okay, so everybody out here, in here, as an assignment, take on there is no private good and see where that takes you this week.
Mhm.
And so what one of the here's what we would love to do is thank you so much for coming on as a guest. This is
Oh,
perfect.
thank you so much for having me. I've enjoyed it.
And then we have like what we would love to do as a community is to put a blessing on you. And what would you love, you know, what would you love for us to hold for you, Michele? And
I
you
guess,
know,
yeah, so I've worked in healthcare for 38 years, and much of healthcare is wonderful. And some parts of healthcare I see going down a path that I don't know that our creator intended. You know, I just see a lot of chemical overuse. Now, I mean, and I know that there's people that absolutely benefit from. And so one of my bigger visions, if big is the right word, is to use these principles to help influence natural healthcare. And so any blessing thought idea that anybody would have to help me in my mission to help us to heal our bodies. I like to say, I have a vision, you know, the four quadrants to health and well-being, relationships, vocation, and time and money freedom. I have a world vision. And one part of that is that we live in nature. We live in harmony with nature in all ways, including or especially the harmony or the nature of us as spiritual beings having a human experience. But really that natural, I just feel the more you really, when you really delve into nature and the healing qualities of nature, it is amazing. Like it is, when you delve into how truly capable we are of healing our body, like self-healing through with different tools. And so that's my vision. That's my, you know, and there's times that it's like, oh my gosh, that's really big. But then I'm like, no, that's not big because then it makes me small and I'm not small. You know, every one of us is powerful. And so that would be my ask.
okay, here we go. Wow. We were right. It felt perfect for today. We were just out feeding the ducks in nature
Oh,
right before this in a pond, and it was so cool because uh, there's healing in the ducks and out by the pond. So here we go. We're gonna send energy to Wisconsin. Whereabouts in Wisconsin are you?
I live in Port Washington, which is 30 minutes north of Milwaukee, if people heard of Milwaukee, or 2 hours north of, 30 minutes north of Milwaukee, 2 hours north of Chicago. So I literally live like a half mile from Lake Michigan.
Oh, I love that.
Yes, yeah. And sometimes it's like an ocean. We have people that actually surf on Lake Michigan when the water gets rough enough. So not me.
I took the ferry across Lake Michigan this
Oh,
summer.
yeah.
So
Yep.
cool.
Yeah. Yep.
So anyway, we're just going to be sending the energy from all over the world straight
Hmm.
to
I
Michigan.
appreciate
I'm
it.
in Wisconsin. There you go. And it's the law of receiving. So phew, you get to
Mhm.
receive that. Got it?
And I graciously received that. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you so much for being here. And what a powerful, powerful message today. And, you know, coming exactly at the right timing, divine timing. So thank you
It
so
came
much.
at the right time for me too, you know, to be talking about it. So there truly is that divine timing. Yeah.
Great. Amen. There you go. Awesome. What? Okay, good.